I am Anna Seawald, and this is Authentic Parenting, a podcast about growing ourselves while raising our children. I'm a psychologist, educator, and parent coach, and on this podcast, I explore how you can connect to your authentic self, practice radical self-care, and raise emotionally healthy children. Let's break the cycle of generational trauma for a more peaceful, kind, and compassionate world. Today, how to make the holidays less stressful. I am joined by my dear friend and colleague, Dr. Laura Froyen. She's the host of the Balanced Parent podcast, and she occasionally co-hosts the show with me. In this episode, we explore the different types of stress we face during the holiday season, including the stress we consciously choose versus the default stress we often fall into. We share practical tips for making the holidays less stressful, from simplifying gift giving to lowering expectations and creating space for what truly matters. We also dive into the importance of questioning our old customs and traditions and how to create new ones that fit where we are in life, especially when our kids are at different ages and we're navigating a new season. One of the key takeaways is the power of setting an intention for the season, whether it's choosing a word to guide us or simply deciding how we want to feel. I disclose my intention for the season, my two-word expression, and I ask my daughter what her intention is for this holiday season. We also discuss the emotional side of the holidays, including post-holiday blues and how we can help our kids process feelings of loss and disappointment. I immensely enjoyed talking to Laura about all of these topics, and I hope our ideas and tips will help you make your holiday season less stressful. Please enjoy, and thank you for listening. Laura, welcome to the podcast. I am so delighted to see you again.
Oh gosh, Anna, it's always so exciting to be back on your show. I love getting to reconnect with you and with your listeners. Thanks for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. Always. I love talking to you. You always bring something new, a different perspective, a different layer, right? Like you open a new doorway always about the topic that I'm thinking. And I just love that. And of course, your compassionate approach. You always tame my my fieriness.
Oh, I love your fieriness. I think it's so lovely when two people can, come from a place where supporting parents and doing very similar things, but have, different approaches, different ways of seeing things, and be open to learning from each other. I think that that's really cool and unique in this world. I love that we get to see each other as colleagues and bounce ideas off of each other.
Yeah, definitely. And the listeners always enjoy our episodes. I know that for sure. They always say that. So for today, holiday stress, managing our own stress, holiday expectations, navigating the difficult dynamics, the gift giving, everything that comes with this season. And this season is pretty long, right? It starts around Thanksgiving in the United States. We enter into the holiday season, and then people decorate and start the Christmas, the Kwanzaa, the Hanukkah. They coincide this year, it seems like, and then the New Year. And so it's a big chunk of time, the holiday season. And it can be stressful for people. And I'm hoping that we can share some personal stories of things that we do to minimize stress and have some balance, to use your words. And I think knowing you from a distance, I know that you do subscribe to the same values of simplicity and relaxation and rest. You embrace those, but obviously I don't know the full story. So tell me how you feel about the holiday season.
Well, one of the things that, as you were just talking, that it got me thinking about is where does this stress come from, right? So where does this feeling of hustle and bustle, chaos, wildness, a mad rush to this finish line, like where does that come from? Like I'm just thinking about, like, for me right now, some of the stressors that go on and for me have to do with a festival that happens every year with my kids' school that I play a big role in. And after that, I have this like, whew, like after that is done, it's happening this Saturday. So I just have a few more days to go. Then I feel like I can really relax and enjoy myself. And that is a stress that I've chosen. So that it's a winter festival. We put on kind of a big carnival for the school and for the community. And I take on a part in that where I create this room filled with handmade gifts that children and children only can go into and shop from. And so I spend all fall getting the parents together, making these crafts, and then getting the room. It's called the Magic Gift Room. It's a magical little wonderland, and kids go in by themselves and shop with the adults who are in there, helping them wrap and write them for, write labels for someone. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's a stressor that is significant for me, but I've chosen it. I've taken it on. It makes me feel really lit up and like I'm really serving a community that is important to me and important to my family. I get to provide a lot of magic. I get to watch the kids when they walk into this room, which is just a classroom in their school, but that I've completely transformed into this winter wonderland with fairy lights and fake snow and stuff. I mean, and I just get to see the little magic in their eyes, and it's really rewarding, not just for me, but to know that I'm contributing to a sense of awe and magic that they'll carry with themselves too. And so, like, for me, like, that stress feels very worth it and very different than the obligatory stress that I think often comes with this season. The feeling that we have to be doing or, present for things that we don't really care about, doing things that, weren't really chosen by us, that are just things that were handed to us. And so I feel like I've done a pretty good job of choosing my stress. And then the other things that aren't important to me, I've allowed to kind of slip away. So we just don't do those things. And that's okay. And I mean, so some of that's boundary setting, I guess. I feel like, Anna, I got way off on the topic of what your actual question was. But yeah, I kind of opt out on a lot of I don't know, the more
Traditional.
hustle bustle stress of things.
Yes, I love this. I really, really love this. This reminds me of a podcast episode I did with Oliver Berkman. And from his book, there is one question he asks, and it's not his question, but he writes about that. It is this question, not like, are you happy? Blah, blah, blah. No. When you're faced with a decision or a commitment or something like that, ask yourself this question. Is this going to enlarge me or diminish me?
Ooh, I like that question.
And it sounds like I love that question. And you make choices and decisions based on that, right?
I guess so. I mean, yeah, definitely. I try to. I mean, there's definitely times where I end up choosing to do something that I should have said no to. And I realized, dang, that diminished me. But what a good metric.
Right? Instead of saying, is this going to give me joy or happiness? Yeah, it might give you joy, but it might diminish your finances, your energy, your emotional state. I love that question. And I think it's very appropriate for the holiday season because there are invitations, there are parties, children, holidays, breakfast with Santa, and all sorts of things, right? There is
Hmm.
tree lighting at your local town. You don't have to go to everything just to make kids happy. I think when we participate in things that don't enlarge us, then it shows in our energy and kids pick that up. And I feel like sometimes when you get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the traditional things, like going to the mall and waiting in line with a lot of crying children just to take a picture with Santa and having that picture with your child who your child is scared and everybody's around you is scared. I've never done that. I don't know. Have you done that tradition?
No,
No,
never.
I've never done that.
I mean, so we go every year. So my family's gift to my extended family, so like my nieces and nephews, my sister, my mom and dad, we take them out for a big brunch called Santa's Brunch, and Santa is there. And my kids have always had the choice whether they want to go talk to Santa or just look at Santa. Do they want to stand next to Santa for a picture? Like, they've always had complete choice on those, but it certainly wasn't the filled situation that I remember from my own childhood going to see the mall Santas.
Yes, I love, well, you're going into my next point on my notes is our own childhood memories of the holidays. Of course, we always want to look at our past in order to look forward, right? We learn from the past that helps us for the future. But yeah, I like that you say chosen stress because there are some stressors that we sort of take on that we don't question, is this a choice? It's the default, it's the traditional hustle and bustle. Like today I was in Uber in the morning and the Uber driver asked me, have you done all your holiday shopping? And I'm like, how do I answer this question? Number one, no, I don't do holiday shopping, quote unquote, or like I don't subscribe to that culture of consumerism, materialism, stuff, stuff, stuff. I have different values and I live my values. And like you, I don't stress around the holidays. If I'm hosting a party, that's my stress. That's my chosen stress, right? But that's a positive stress, right? And when stress is not positive, then it stresses us more. But the chosen stress is a lot more manageable and you feel good afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. And I think not all stress is bad for us, right? We need a little bit of adversity, a little bit of, pressure to our systems sometimes to challenge us. That's good for us. And especially when we've chosen it. I think too, sometimes we get very rooted in, the way things have always been done. And I would invite our listeners to not just like question that within ourselves, but allow our kids to question that. So for the past 3 or 4 years, we've taken our kids to the Nutcracker. That was my parents' gift to our family. We love experience gifts like that. So there's not more stuff in our house. It gives us a memory. But this year, when I started talking about it with the kids, I asked them, and I ask them every year, is that something that still feels good and meaningful for you? Is that something that you'd like to continue? This is something we've done. But even just talking with them about, traditions are not stagnant. Traditions are chosen things. And, grandma and grandpa are wondering, would you like to continue that tradition or would you like to try something new this year? They're very excited for the new Mufasa movie to come out. And they asked if we could all go with their cousins to the movie theater to see that instead of seeing the Nutcracker. Now, there is a part of me that is like, but that's not a Christmas movie, but like, that's not like what we do. That's not the tradition. And there is a part of me that kind of has these rosy glasses that wants these things deeply rooted from my kids. And at the same time, giving them the opportunity to lead, to be active participants in crafting their own Christmas memories, their own holiday memories as they get older. I think that that's pretty powerful too. And so maybe it's not the thing that they do. We always see the Nutcracker. Maybe it's my grandparents care about what's important to me. And at every age, they checked in with us and gave us an experience that was meaningful to us at that point in time in our lives. And that's the tradition, as opposed to seeing the Nutcracker. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, because you can say every year we saw the Nutcracker and like, oh my gosh, we saw the Nutcracker every year, as opposed to we always did something fun with my grandparents every year.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was the movies, sometimes it was, you immediately, it's the feeling that we're chasing, it's the feeling that we're after, you know. Yes, I want to tell people this is my advice this year. Don't be afraid to challenge traditions and create your own new ones, or even the ones you have established yourself, because you are in a different place in your parenting. Your children are at a different age now. You're in a different season in your life. You might be taking care of an elderly, sick relative. You might be going through a difficult health issue. Things are not the same always. So carrying blindly, like the same traditions for the sake of creating magic for the kids or whatever the sake is, I think is we need to challenge that.
Yeah.
So even like I said, our own traditions, I have definitely changed in my own family, the traditions that I have created over the years. As my child is older now, obviously we have maintained some of the traditions, but some of them have just elapsed more naturally. They have been replaced with different experiences. And I think that's okay. because we don't want the stress of, oh, we're going to do this because we've always done this. Well, why? Right? What's the why behind that?
I really loved what you said, Anna, about that it's the feeling we're chasing, right? And so maybe that's even a place to start. And it sounds like both of you, you and I have sat down with ourselves at some point and said, what is the feeling we're chasing right now? Like, what do we want the atmosphere of our home during this specific time of year and this season of our lives and of our kids' childhood to feel like? What is the feeling? And what are the things in this season of life that are going to allow that feeling to emerge, right? To not to chase it and hold on to it with grasping hands, but just kind of to that will allow it to arise. I really like that a lot. I feel like I've talked a lot about, my like, are there things that you do that to say no to stressors? Are there things you say no to? Are there, what about for you? Is the season stressful for you in any way, or is it pretty easeful?
It is pretty easeful for me because partly I don't have a lot of commitments to say no to. I feel like I always have a choice in what I want to say yes to or what things I want to organize myself or I use myself. I don't have, it's easeful, I would say. I don't put a lot of pressure to do it perfectly. And like I haven't subscribed to the American culture, even though I lived here for many years. Like I don't do matching pajamas and, excessive gift giving for everyone, excessive buying, going to the malls and doing all those things. I don't do elf on the shelf. Like I don't
Ooh.
do a lot of the things that people do. And it's fine if they can do it and enjoy it and manage it. I like simplicity. I love ease. I am chasing a certain kind of feeling. And so even with my home decorations, I am tasteful, simple, limited. It's not like Christmas just threw up in my home type of decorations. You can see it's kind of a holiday spirit, but it's not overabundant. And I do participate in parties and gatherings. I organize certain things. But like I said, certain things have changed. For example, for the past 2 years, my daughter and I have been traveling for Christmas and New Year's. Yes, we go to California and we spend time with my extended family, my cousins and my aunt and my brother. And that's a new tradition. But before I used to host the Christmas dinner here with friends and relatives, and it was a big tradition. I enjoyed cooking and doing special things. We used to go to New York every year to see the Macy's windows and things like that. But my child is in a different place now, and that's not as exciting anymore, right? So we naturally don't do that. We used to make a gingerbread house. We don't do that. Certain things you have to change or let go or challenge and replace with new traditions because it's the feeling that we're after and what matters the most. I think for me, the holiday season, what my tip is for listeners is to help you set an intention for the holiday season, how you want to feel. Better yet, choose a word or an expression as a reminder to guide you when you fall off track and get caught up in the frenzy and because everybody is doing on social media and things like that. I feel like if you have a word or an expression, that word could be cozy and warm. Well, that can guide you to say no to commitments or to say yes to commitments, right? Because is this going to make me feel, is this aligned with my intention? And that can help you make a better judgment. Your word could be adventurous, for example. Your word could be togetherness. I don't know. Everybody sets their own intention. But I think setting an intention is an important place to start.
I agree. Do you want to share what your intention is this year?
Well, this year for me, it's cozy and warm, as I said. So far, it's been cozy and warm. That means staying in, you know, being more intimate. If I'm inviting someone over or if I'm going somewhere, I don't want to be part of like large gatherings and whatever. It has to be intimate, cozy, and warm. Yeah, I think that's my expression this year.
Do you ask your daughter what her intentions are, how she wants the holiday to feel?
Not really. I could. I can even ask now.
I feel curious what a
Yes,
teenager would say.
Yeah, she likes this holiday very much. She likes the decorations and everything that come with it, right? The holiday brings and certain things that we have created. And I have created certain things in my family that are different from maybe the overall culture or what people do. I'm curious if you have created your own traditions that are not the ones that you inherited from your parents.
Yeah, I definitely have for sure. Gosh, I get thinking back on traditions that I had as a child. I don't really remember very many. I think the day after Thanksgiving, we would go out to our back field and cut down a tree. We always got trees for the most part from our own land. So that I think that was probably a lovely tradition. We don't do that now because I've got a husband who's severely allergic to all trees. And so we can't have a live tree in the house. Let's see, I'm trying to think about things that we did as kids. We were not the family who did the gingerbread houses, who did, lots. Oh, I guess my mom and her teacher friends always had a candy making party where the moms would get together and bring the kids, and the kids would just play all day, and the moms would make candy, and then you'd come away with a tray of candy. These were kids that I only really saw once a year. So that was a fun thing. Definitely don't do that. We don't make candy, but we do get together as a family now and do gingerbread. So that's something that I started when my sister and I spent. So I moved to Madison, and about 6 months later, my sister moved to Madison too. So we're in the same location, and we started doing gingerbread houses kind of with just the cousins, and that's really fun. So we redid our kitchen a few years back and put in a huge island, and so now I can get all the nieces and nephews and grandpa. He gets his own because if he doesn't, then he just tells everyone else how to decorate theirs. So he gets his own gingerbread house to keep him busy. So that's something that we do that's fun and low pressure that the kids always look forward to, and that I also look forward to because I like to bake. I get to do all the baking and the assembly of the houses for myself and for my dad. And you know what? My sister always buys gingerbread house kits for her kids. And what's lovely is like, that's wonderful for our family, right? There's no pressure to show up any differently than how you are. And that's it. And, I have a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 7-year-old, like nieces and nephew. And then my kiddos are 12 and almost 10 this year. And I don't see that changing. So the 17-year-old is just as into the gingerbread houses. She just has more staying power. Like last year, at 16, she was the last person still sitting at the counter doing gingerbread houses. So, I mean, that's something that we do. I think I liked growing up not having a lot that we did. I liked spending time with my family. My family memories are cozy and warm. That's how my childhood Christmas felt, my childhood holidays, whether we were at our house, we usually were at our house for Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, we would bundle up and drive into northern Iowa where my grandmothers lived. But cozy and warm, that's pretty much how things were. They were not big, like fancy anything. We were wearing hand knitted sweaters, like eating, traditional Norwegian sweets, and that's it. And I like that I think that that's how my kids feel too. I hope it is that they feel things are simple, cozy. I do make Christmas throw up on my house though. Anna, I should take you on it after we're done recording. I should take you on a little tour of my house because oh my goodness. And my daughters love it too. So we spend a couple days just completely transforming the house into a winter wonderland, and we love our Christmas house. And that's because we like it. If I didn't like doing those things, I wouldn't do it, right? And so that is something that you and I, Anna, we have to be so careful about because we don't want anybody listening to hear us saying these are the things you have to do to have a warm and cozy magical holiday for your family. We are saying we have to choose for ourselves, and that which we can do with warm, cozy hearts, and full authenticity. Those are the things that give that cozy, warm feeling, right? You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. Everybody can do their own thing. Everybody can choose their own stress.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, for me growing up, obviously, we didn't have Christmas. It was the Soviet Union times. It was New Year's. So there was a Christmas tree, but it was a New Year's tree. And we didn't have gifts. It was very simple. We didn't have stockings, we didn't have gifts, excessive gifts or anything like that. So I think the thing we used to get in the morning under our pillow, we would find a little cellophane packet with clementines, nuts in shells, and candy and some chocolate. So some sweets, right? And some treats under your pillow. And we loved it. It was the best gift ever. We looked forward to it, which is like it's fruits, right? But we would eat and enjoy and play. So that was the gift for Christmas. We had an artificial tree. I would decorate it. My parents gave me permission. It was my job to
It was your
decorate it.
job. Oh,
I
beautiful.
loved it. I know
I bet you did.
some parents don't let their children touch the tree, for example, or things of this nature. I've heard stories, but it was mine. And I remember the empowerment feeling that I did it from top to bottom. And it was like a certain way. It was very artsy and creative. So I enjoyed that process.
And maybe too, Anna, you enjoyed being seen and trusted with that process too by your parents. Yeah.
hmm And card writing was big, but my mom would let me write the Christmas cards to relatives, friends, and neighbors.
Oh,
So she would be baking or something, and she would be dictating, and I would sit down and write down the cards. I remember that part very well, and I to this day love card writing, and I do send cards. And speaking of changing traditions, when our children, my child was young, we used to send out Christmas cards that were like family pictures or our children's pictures. As the child has grown up over the years, I send out just generic Christmas cards or holiday cards. So that's one thing that has changed as well. I also used to make tiaras, like from broken glass ornaments. We would crush the broken glass ornament and make a paper beautiful like tiara with the snowflake cutouts, and with glue would sprinkle the glass ornament broken parts and it would sparkle. So I would put that tiara on and dance and perform and sing like
do
songs.
you have one of those? Have you ever made one as an adult?
Yes, I did with my daughter and her friends. I used to host Christmas parties. So I have to send you a picture of
I
that.
would love to see one. That's beautiful. Brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah, I made it once. Like my daughter maybe was 4 or 5 years old, and that's about it. But it was like nice to even touch the broken glass. Imagine
Yeah.
that.
I never kept my kids away from the Christmas trees. Even when they were toddlers, if they wanted to look at the most like fragile ornaments, I would pick them up and help them look at them. But we were always happy to, I don't know, to teach them to how to have reverence and be careful and to trust them with these things and to know that things break, just things break from time to time. They do break. But I love having a tradition that incorporates the broken things too. Like I'm thinking about, gosh, the number of times that things did break. If we had a little bucket that they could go in and be like, oh, great, more tiara making stuff, like it would change the texture of dropping an ornament. You know what I mean? Like I like that idea.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that. But see, that's your magic. You always bring that. But so what are, yeah, besides the gingerbread and decorating and all of that, other things that you do with your children?
Hmm. I mean, I usually put out some stories. They're getting older now. They can both read for themselves. So that has had less of a place. I mean, they usually prepare a meal for their pets, a Christmas meal for their pets. So like the guinea pig
Oh,
gets like special treats. And my oldest daughter has a hamster this year, so she's already planning like this year she also sewed stockings for all of our pets
oh, so
too,
cute.
so that Santa can bring them a little present. But I mean, like I usually try to do some kind of craft with them, have some kind of something going on, but they're invited and not forced, so that's something that is available to them. Gosh, we don't have a lot of things though that like are, I wonder what they would say are traditions, like I wonder what they would say.
This is a good moment to crystallize. You can ask your children, you, I, and the listeners. Maybe we can ask our children what are the traditions that they value or cherish or remember.
Yeah, I bet that they will surprise us. I think kids are so awesome at finding little moments that mean something to them that we would as adults would just overlook, definitely going to ask them. What about you? What are some of the things you do now that, it sounds like your traditions are very different versus how you grew up, but what are some of the things you do or that you've done over the years that maybe you've left behind as your daughter gets older?
Yeah, definitely. I have created my own traditions. So every year I buy a special ornament for my daughter that signifies something about her life during that year.
I
Let's
do that too. I totally forgot that I do
see,
that.
that's good. So,
Yes, that's a
so
tradition.
so like when my daughter played volleyball, I purchased an ornament that with her number, it's a girl with the same hair color. When she got a cell
Nice.
phone, it's a girl with the cell phone and it has the year on it. Things of this nature, things that signify. And so there are many, many ornaments like that, very special.
I had a roommate in grad school whose grandmother did that for her every year. And then when she went out on her own and had her own Christmas tree, she had a Christmas tree filled with meaningful ornaments. And I was like, oh gosh, when I'm a parent, I'm gonna do that. And so I've done that too. I really love that. This year my girls are one is getting a hamster wearing a Santa hat because she got her hamster this year, and the other one is getting a bicycle because she learned to ride a bicycle this year.
I haven't bought a special ornament this year yet because I'm kind of like, what should I get? What should I get? I'm in that
Yeah.
stage. So also speaking of the Nutcracker, we do go to the Nutcracker. So when my daughter was 4, I took her to her first Nutcracker show. And after the show, I bought her a Nutcracker. So every year I take her to the Nutcracker and I buy her a Nutcracker. So we have a Nutcracker collection, but they go in heights. So this year's one is the tallest one because she's growing. And so the size of the Nutcracker.
Oh, so
So we
fun.
have
I love
like
that.
12 or something Nutcrackers, 12 in our home. So that's a tradition we have cultivated. We bake cookies. I have this one recipe. I'm not a baker, but for Christmas time, I enjoy baking this particular easy, no egg cream cheese cookies, and it's kind of fun. So we bake those cookies and we give it to neighbors and friends and things like that. We do our own hot chocolate, hot cocoa contest. So this is my daughter created this one year and we still continue. So we each make hot chocolate, but it has to be mystery ingredients because it's going to taste differently. And we do blind tasting and whoever tastes better wins. Like my recipe has cayenne pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, all sorts of things. And
Oh,
so it's a
yum.
little spicy and things like that. So we do that. What else do we do? One thing we do every year is we make our own ornaments. We buy like glass or plastic, and I invite friends, and we all paint or decorate or glitter and things like that. So our Christmas tree is filled with handmade ornaments from over the years by my daughter, and you can see the progression of the artsiness from the like younger ages till now where the like squiggly lines turned into beautiful artwork. It's amazing. So that's a tradition we do. Like I said, we used to go to the Macy's to see the Christmas decorations, but we no longer do that. And some things we don't do anymore. And we don't do excessive gift giving in our home or extended family or things like that. I usually buy something special for my child. Last year, I bought her camera, a real photography camera, because she's into photography. This year, I haven't bought yet. So, yeah, those are my traditions that are unique to my family, that we enjoy doing them.
I love those. I love the hot chocolate contest kind of. I like that a lot. Just remembered a one of the traditions that we have that is a Polish tradition. I think Polish American. I'm not sure if it's actually from Poland, but there's a pickle ornament on our tree. And throughout, once we put the tree up, everybody kind of tries to find it and then rehide it. And then Christmas morning, the first person to find the pickle on Christmas morning gets to open a present. In our house, that present is a shared family present that we can all enjoy, oftentimes a game. That's something that we do every year. I'm trying to think about I don't know that we have very many things that I can think of off the top of my head that are unique things that I made up versus like things that I wanted to do, with my kids that I know other people are doing, Maybe I need to be a little bit more creative. Oh, do you hear the me comparing? Do you hear the like the comparison coming in?
Well, I had time this morning to think about this and to take some notes down. So I
Yes,
have an
yeah.
advantage in that. And you didn't know the topic of this conversation until the last moment. I think that's what it is. And you know what else we used to do? We used to go to a farm every year and cut our own Christmas tree. But for the past 5 years, we purchased an artificial tree and it's just as exciting.
Yes,
It's
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I remember, the fun of, going out and hauling our tree back at my house. But I also like remember having to be on my hands and knees picking up needles and then like taking it out after the new year and just the place being a wreck. I can't imagine how annoyed my mom was. She loves her artificial tree that she gets to have now.
well, so do you know that Thanksgiving turkey tale that about cooking the turkey a specific way? It's a tale that teaches a lesson.
No, I don't know that one.
Okay, so I don't know where I heard this tale, but so it goes like this. A newly married couple decide to host their first Thanksgiving. And so the bride calls her mom and says, Mom, how to make the turkey? I want your recipe. And mom gives her recipe and says, do it this way, do it this way. So the bride does it and it tastes good. But the husband goes after the Thanksgiving gathering, Honey, what did you do with the legs of the turkey? She says, What do you mean? The recipe called for cut the legs before you put it in the oven. And he says, Okay, whatever. Then the daughter goes and asks the mother, says, Mom, everything was great, but my husband asked me why we cut the turkey legs off before baking. She goes, I don't know. That's how my mother did it. So I learned it from her. And so naturally, the mother of this young bride calls her mother and says, Hey, mom, ma, like, what's the story behind, cutting the turkey's legs before putting it in the oven? Grandma laughs and laughs and laughs. She says, Oh, honey, our ovens were so small back then. We used to cut the legs so that that turkey would fit in the oven.
Love it.
But see how like something can be passed down through the traditions that doesn't even make sense anymore,
Doesn't
but
make
people
sense.
continue
Yeah.
doing it. So
Oh my gosh, I love that story, Anna.
it's maybe I'm not telling it the right way, but like
No,
that's
it's
like just a
perfect.
it's isn't that
Yeah.
true? Like we need to challenge the things that
Yeah, what a lovely invitation to take a look at like where did this come from? Particularly the things that we're feeling like resistant towards or that we feel a lot of obligation around. Just what a great invitation to think about like did this come about because the ovens were smaller? Or is it something that actually, we want to be doing and have happen?
Yeah, and I think I want people to be bold in creating new traditions, challenging the consumerism if that's how you feel. Like, go against the whole gift giving thing. That doesn't mean no gifts at all, but like this year, I'm doing homemade gifts, like
Ooh.
baked and cooked goods for my friends, for my neighbors and
Mhm.
my friends. I mean, you can, if you don't like baking or cooking, fine. Maybe you can do something crafty. Oh, I learned something from you. Let's mention it here. I made orange ornaments and it took 10 hours to bake in the oven, but they're
Yeah.
super cute. And I gave those ornaments to some people already. I gave them gifts and now they have something from me on their Christmas tree. Like you can do creative, fun things that fill you up in the moment when you're doing it. You're thinking of someone. I think that's what matters, not that scarf or that sweater you got. It's the spirit and the
Hmm.
thoughtfulness, the feeling that matters, not the actual stuff that we give or acquire. Nobody needs more stuff for sure.
Yeah, I so agree with you on it. That's why my family really does a lot of experiences as our gifts to each other. We much prefer that. I'm not sure necessarily that the kids prefer that. They like, because they're kids, they want to open things, but they definitely wouldn't want to be without some of our other traditions, like the gingerbread house making, or my sister usually hosts our whole family for like a movie brunch where she like makes brunch and we all watch a Christmas movie together in the days leading up to the holiday. I mean, so like those types of things are so lovely and are wonderful gifts. They're wonderful gifts to I don't know, it's not just a like a thing you can put on a shelf or that's going to get donated in 6 months or broken in 2 weeks. Those are things that are going to last for a long time. I love experience gifts. They're my favorite things. Or like when the kids were littler, like memberships to children's museums and those types of gifts were always so appreciated.
Yeah, I agree. Experiences are my favorite types of gifts as well. But I think for the people who still love gifts, opening and wrapping even, right? But it's not, I'm not the Grinch, like no gifts policy or anything. Make it easier. I think another good question is that I usually ask myself when I'm in some kind of a process or challenge, how can I make this easy? This thing that I'm doing, how can I make what can make it easier for me? And there's usually things you can do to shortcut it or delegate it or make it easier. Or instead of making the whole gingerbread from scratch, you can buy it but enjoy with your cousins the same experience, right? I think not putting extra pressure on ourselves to do everything homemade and perfect and magical and things like that. I think is important. But the gift giving, what other tips do you have besides homemade gifts? Or I love when children make artsy things or craftsy things for the relatives. I adore that as well. Or you know what I prefer is when you have a large family. My friend's family is like this. They have a lot of nieces and nephews, and she has like 5 siblings, and they all have a bunch of children. What they do is like you can't buy gifts for everyone, adults or children. You can say gifts only for children. Okay. Or you could do what they do is they draw a name. They put everyone's name and they draw someone's name and they buy something special for that one person. So each child or each adult gets a present from someone, not like everybody for everyone. It's more thoughtful. I really, really like that.
I like that too. If we had a big family, that is what I would push for. We don't have a big family, but if we did, like that is definitely, and yeah, I love hearing about the families that do that and how meaningful a lot of those gifts are. I think that that's something to just be thinking about. Am I buying this to have another package under the tree, or am I buying this because I'm thinking about someone? Am I buying this because this will enhance their life in some way? Like, what is my motivation for buying this? There's times where I catch myself like counting the packages for the kids and like, oh gosh, one's got 5 and the other one only has 3, but those 3 are bigger. And like, that is a mentality that I catch myself slipping into that I don't want to hand to my kids. That like, how are we spending the same amount on them? Are we, that ultimately they don't care. They're happy with what they get, and yeah, I mean, that's a good question that I have to ask myself. Like, what is my motivation for this purchase or this thing that I'm about to, that I'm thinking about buying?
Do you buy gifts for other adults in your life, like friends, neighbors, your husband, or your family members, extended?
Yeah, my husband and I usually like decide together on a big gift for ourselves. Like this year, we are kind of shifting some of the ways that we are handling screen time as the kids get older. And we've never had a TV in the main part of the house before. So we are gifting ourselves a TV, one of the beautiful ones with the frame, that can be left on so it looks like a piece of art. That's our gift to ourselves this year. That's often what we'll do. We'll find something maybe that's kind of boring, that like, and then maybe I'll like, my husband usually gives me an ornament, a specific ornament that like comes out with a new version every year, that has the year on it. He's been doing that since I became a mom. And I usually find something ice fishing related for my husband and give that to him because he'll go ice fishing during his winter break when he's off work. So yeah, I don't, but other adults, no, we don't. I mean, I have one close friend who I will buy presents for. My other friends, we might get together and share, drinks and desserts or something where we're all contributing to something, but not necessarily. an actual gift. Again, like time spent, is a lovely gift, I think, spending that time together. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Right before this podcast, I had a holiday breakfast with some of my friends, and that was like lovely, you know.
Yeah.
Somebody cooked an omelet and we enjoyed in her house and we talked, and I think that's the gift, not the things. And I think this whole gift giving has gone too far, like especially in America. Right. I mean, gift giving maybe in the past when there was no access to abundant things or people didn't have money was maybe a thing, but now everybody has access to everything. And it's like you can't give people what are you going to give them? They already have everything, right? Even the children. So it becomes a very tricky thing. Another thing I was thinking this morning, like you can, if you have a large family, that again, you can say, hey, maybe this year let's do books for all of the children,
Hmm.
right? You can choose some kind of a theme. Let's do scarves or gloves or hats this year for all the kids or something like that. I think to take the pressure off because other people want to give you gifts, right? Like grandma wants to give you a gift or your aunt or your uncle or some, your extended family members. What's a good policy? I mean, these days, people send like a registry wish list and things like
Like an
that.
Amazon wish list for sure. Yeah.
I know, like, or there are other websites and even apps. I was interviewed for this, so I know a little more about gift giving. That there are apps even that you can curate and make your own wish
Oh my
list and give it.
goodness.
I think that's a little too far.
We only have, so my girls do have an Amazon wish list, but there's only usually one person in their lives who buys from that. Again, we really do try to emphasize experiences. And then the other people who want to give my daughters a gift often want, don't want ideas. They want to be able to like go shopping, think about them and give them the gift, and that's okay too, because sometimes the gift giving is for the giver, more than it is for the receiver. Having a good attitude around that, I think, is really helpful too. So I have some mixed feelings around gifts and how they're used at times. It never fails at this time of year. I will see some kind of social media post about like gift jail, if your kids aren't behaving, put their presents in jail and tell their kids that they have to earn them back under the tree, like things
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh, that's harsh. I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's so harsh, Anna. It's so harsh. Or I mean, even just like the elf on the shelf, something that seems goofy and fun also has this layer of be good or else you won't get anything, and that isn't really the message that many of us are attempting to give our kids, right? I mean, obviously you can do elf on the shelf that isn't punitive, but like that is the story, right? Or even just Santa, who's, you better
You
watch out,
better
you better
watch
be nice.
out. You
Yeah.
better watch out. I know.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's this piece of gift giving that is, I don't know, hard to wrap your head around when you're attempting to raise more conscious and intentional and respectful kiddos. And at the same time, they're kids. They want toys, they like presents, they like shiny things. And so you have to I've had to like get off my soapbox a little bit on those things and find a place of balance where I cannot control what gifts other well-meaning and loving relatives are going to give my kids. I can't control, that they might want more than what they got and be disappointed about that they might hear from friends about what friends got and they got less and have feelings about those things. Like I can't control any of that. All I can do is be present with what is happening in my family and, be with my kids in those moments, hear them, and then hopefully affirm values that are leading my choices as a parent.
Yeah, I completely agree. I agree about the gift giving and stuff because some people are like, "How dare such and such give my kid gifts? We don't need more stuff." They blah blah blah. It's okay, that they're like you said. It's not about receiving; it's also about the giver who gives the gift.
Yeah, yeah.
It's let's honor them and cherish them. They put some thought and effort and time, right? To get you that present, I think all we can say is thank you, take it. Maybe you don't want to use it, fine. You don't need to re-educate them about your values that we don't believe in
We
plastic
don't.
toys and blah, blah, blah. You know, we don't. Let's accept people how they are. And then you can decide what to do with those toys,
Mhm.
right? In your own home. I agree. I think we need to be less uptight and controlling and rigid.
Yes. Oh, always a struggle for me, but yes.
Oh, that's interesting. So, listen, you mentioned something earlier about the holiday blues that comes with this season. So, it's a thing because after all of this comes January and February, long winter months,
Long months.
right? So, tell me about how you handle the post-holiday blues and what happens.
Yeah, yeah. So I have one daughter who really surprised us a couple years ago by experiencing the blues. Just very tearful, a sense of loss, of grief almost that it's over. All of this anticipation and, build up, and then it happens and
And emptiness,
then
yes.
what? You're left with this like, yeah. And so we realized that maybe we needed to take a more active role in, supporting her through that earlier. And so we are pretty active as we approach the holidays, and as like the holiday is coming closer to talk about, what we're looking forward to afterwards, like, what we're experiencing in the here and now, as opposed to, like this big ultimate culmination that's going to happen, on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, versus like, what are we doing right now? Helping her to be a little bit more present in the moment with with the fun, nice things that are happening, and helping her to, yeah, to just kind of put things in perspective, and maybe on our end of things not build things up so much. So instead of, saying like, what is going to be under the Christmas tree for you in the morning, what are you hoping for from Santa, just like reducing our comments on those things that are easy to get a kid hyped up about, versus like, ooh, we're going to, be going sledding tomorrow with our friends, like just kind of focusing in on the joyful parts of everyday life, as opposed to there being something extra special about this time, that then so that she doesn't experience so much of a letdown. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. And I think you're handling it really well. What this gives me an idea, because like after the holidays, this bleak, empty space happens. And we also feel like when you take down your Christmas tree, that space is like not the same. It takes a while for you to adapt, right?
Mhm.
To the tree not being there, the lights, the sparkles. Yes, I
I'm usually ready for it. I'm usually ready
really.
for like, because again, like Christmas threw up in my house. So by the time like January, we always leave Christmas decorations up until my husband's birthday. And by the time that moment in January rolls around, like I am like, oh my God, get it all out of here. I want clear shelves. I want clear sight lines. I don't want to see anything.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm always very excited about it to go away. But I do understand that other people might not be ready.
yes, because like it's not the same, right? All these beautiful sparkly lights, and then it's not the same. So I think we can modify, like you can keep some of the elements in your home. You can keep fairy lights throughout the whole winter, right? Or some of the decorations if you feel sentimental. Another thing I would say is you can plan something in January after the holidays to look forward to as a family. It could be some kind of experience that is like, especially for your daughter, like after the Christmas, there is something to look forward to. Like this is not it. There is, life continues, sort of like to give that feeling. I think that would be a good thing because then, like the long winter months, especially where we live, we have snow and things like that. It becomes hard, right? Dark and hard. The winter blues, it becomes depressing. Yeah, I am planning on hosting game nights and organizing things so that we can like eating together with friends. I just told my friend, I said, everybody can bring their own dinner. We can gather someplace and just eat together because it's lonely nights. Everybody's eating dinner in their homes. Some people are divorced, my friends, and single. We can like change that, right? That would be my advice. But yeah, the blues is a real thing for me. For the past, last year when we went to California, after spending the holidays with my family, when we came here, it was like, wow, this is boredom. It was so nice laughing, eating together, having fun, and then like traveling back, it's, our reality. It's different. But then you get used to it.
Yeah. I feel like too there's this concept called wintering. Have you read that book? Yeah.
Yes, Catherine May's book.
Yeah,
It's
I loved her
beautiful.
book. And so
Yes.
there's a part of this too that I feel like is quite natural, right? So there is a rhythm to the seasons and to our bodies. And so part of it might be helping my daughter or ourselves notice this, this slowing down. And maybe we're misinterpreting it too, right? Maybe there is this like natural kind of downshift from a more frantic, high energy piece into this thing. And maybe we're just thinking about that means things are sad, things are boring. But actually, what if it means things are restful, things are cozy? This is an invitation to do less, but like a mindful way too, hibernating, this is our body's way of inviting us to conserve energy, to be close and cozy with the people who matter.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Of course, yeah, that's there. I embrace that, but I do feel that post something blues, especially like my event. I was telling you about my live event. Leading to an event like that, you're so thinking about it, you're so immersed that you create this event, and then the event happens, and then there is nothing. Then the blues. I was like really sad for a few days. Then you remember the things, and there's nothing to work on. There is that empty space, that in between space that is emotionally challenging,
Mhm.
which is also very natural. So we want to
Natural and normal and healthy. Yeah,
Yes, we want to help our children navigate that and not to make them like fill with things because we don't want them to feel that
exactly.
feelings, right?
Yeah.
We welcome all the feelings. That's part of natural life.
Right. Learning to sit with uncomfortable feelings is part of it. That's something that the holidays can be really good at teaching us, is learning how to sit with disappointment, with expectations that weren't fulfilled. There's a lot of good opportunities for learning in those moments too, right?
Yes, for sure.
I think that those are the things that often cause a lot of stress for parents, thinking, will my kids like this? Will they have a tantrum, at the family dinner? Like all of those things. Yeah, yeah, those things happen. And they're not necessarily things to avoid. They are parts of life to learn how to navigate and to sit with. There's lots of good opportunities for learning during these times too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I just remembered that I do another thing. It's been a few years now. I do no by January for myself
Oh, yeah. Good for you.
because I tend to spend money in December more than usual, right? So I do know by January.
Okay.
That doesn't mean the things that I want in January I buy in February. No, I tame it down completely. I try to watch what I do, how I spend, what do I spend, and again, this could be expanded on spending your time, also not only your finances, but spending your time and your inner resources, right? Conserving those because, like you said, January and February is a hibernation period, a slowing down period. So we don't have to go, 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 do, burn the candle at both ends. We can take time to reflect, to listen to music, watch movies, read books. This is a perfect time to indulge in reading and simplifying things and organizing. I don't know, things like that are aligned with the natural rhythm of the life, nature, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You just reminded me something that we tend to do every year. So we tend to find some way to serve our community as a part of our holiday experience. So oftentimes that means like shopping for a family who's at a domestic violence shelter and filling out their needs. This year, we are onboarding at our local Dane County Humane, like our Humane Society. So we're starting to volunteer there with the kids as a family. Service was really was a very much an active part of my growing up. My dad especially was heavily involved in community service, and that was something that I always did. And that's been a important part of the holidays for us and our everyday lives, but definitely that helps me balance the sense of giving, like the giving piece of it, the gifting part of it, being able to allow my kids the experience and joy of giving without any expectation of receiving anything back, right? Is a really good experience too that we like as a family.
Yeah. What would you say, what's a good age for children to start to volunteer with their mom and dad like that? What do you think? Again, it depends where and in what context, but like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. Lots of organizations have specific rules about that. So of course you have to check your rules, but young kids, and I mean this is all year round, right? So younger kids, 5, 6, 7, can do things like help pack backpacks for back to school or, like grocery bags, holiday grocery bags. Those are things that kids that age love to do. They love to categorize and put things in and stuff. So giving them the job of putting like a can of cranberries in, all of these bags, that's a job that a 6-year-old could do really well. So yeah, I think, there's lots of opportunities like that, especially with if it's something where you're shopping for a family or if you have a local toy drive, taking your kids to Target and with the idea and the express idea we are not putting anything on your wish list right now. We are not going to take pictures of things you want. We are thinking only of other kids and what they might want. And that's what we're going to go do right now. Like that's a really valuable experience for even young kids, and then like you'll have to hold that limit. Like, oh, you're really thinking you'd like that. You want me to put it on your list? I'm sorry, we can come back and do a Target run for you later. But this one, we're thinking only about other kids. It's a good, like, I don't know, practice and boundary setting and holding for yourself and for the kiddos and really turning your eye towards others is a good thing.
Yeah. Wow, this is a lot. I forgot the question you wanted me to ask my daughter now. I should have asked in the moment. But what was it? Because she's home, I can go and ask now.
Were we talking about like what some of her favorite traditions were, or what? Oh, her intention for the holiday. Like what
Oh,
your
yes.
intention is warm and cozy. What is her intention for the holidays?
Okay, wait. I'm gonna go ask and come
Oh,
back and
yay.
report. Maybe she can
That's
come
exciting.
herself. We have a word, intention.
Okay.
I asked my daughter to come and say the word, her intention. She said, "No, you can relay the message to Laura yourself." Okay. Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
Her intention for this holiday season is warm.
Warm. Oh, I love that.
And she added that, "Oh, we did that at psych class the other day." I guess they already talked about that. Yeah.
These kids are so lucky. Can you like imagine having grown up where in high school you have some like a grown up, an adult who you respect asking you to think about your intentions? I had no exposure to that as a kid. Oh, they're so lucky. And things are harder for them too, because gosh, I feel so lucky that I didn't have to grow up with social media. I am so lucky that I didn't have to grow up with phones.
Yeah. So to conclude our conversation today, now you're bringing up social media. Are you back on Instagram or not?
No, no.
Whoa, yay.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, there was times where I'll not accidentally, but like I'll be selling something on Facebook Marketplace, and so that app will have to go on my phone, but I try to get it off as quickly as possible because it will just suck me in. And I definitely notice when that happens, there's an uptick in my level of like thinking, oh, I need something else. Like I need to like buy something or like comparison. And it's bad for me. I don't, yeah. So no, it's not. I don't have any of those apps on my phone right now. Thank goodness. And I think especially moving into the holidays, where my goal is to be really present with myself and with my family, keeping them off is really important for me. I just don't have the self-regulation to have them on my phone and not be on them.
Yeah,
And it's okay to recognize our own limitations, right? And that is one for me. It's there.
yeah. No, I'm off of Instagram as well, and it's been so great. I'm not even craving or wanting to just check in and look what's in there. Like it's deleted from my life and it's gone, as if it never even existed. Isn't that
Ugh,
interesting? Like
good job, Anna. That's
I don't even
great.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't miss Instagram at all. Again, like I will sometimes like, or if I like Facebook's like buy nothing groups. I like those because I like to give things away, in my community. So again, yeah, like I will randomly put Facebook back on my phone just to like get rid of something, but then yeah, I'll take it right back off because there's too much other stuff on there, that pulls me in.
Yeah. Well, to wrap this up, this was a wonderful, wonderful episode. I really enjoyed talking about holiday traditions and rethinking some of them, creating new ones, giving people permission to do things differently. Remember the turkey example. Um, what are some final thoughts, concluding thoughts?
Well, I think your listeners are very wise, and I just think we can trust ourselves to know what's right for us and for our families. It's not always comfortable doing things a little bit differently, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. And so I think we just, really ask ourselves, be aware and conscious and intentional, and then move forward with what you know to be right for your family and you can do it.
Great. Well, happy holidays to you, Laura, and happy holidays to all my wonderful listeners. And I really enjoyed this time together. Hope we can do more episodes in the new year, Laura. Promise me that we will do more.
I hope so, Anna. Thank you so much for having me and happy holidays. I hope it's warm and cozy for you and your family.
And warm for my daughter.
Yes, and very warm for your daughter.
Yeah, that's great. That concludes today's conversation, my dear listener, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It's always a delight to have Laura on the show. What are some traditions that you continue from your childhood? What's a fond memory from the holidays? What new traditions have you created with your own children that are different from how you grew up? Come and share your thoughts in the Authentic Parenting Facebook group, a safe and supportive space for you to connect with fellow listeners and engage in conversations about the show. Be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss future episodes. Take a moment to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. It really makes a difference and it helps others discover our community. If you find the show helpful and enjoy the content, consider supporting us by making a donation. Authentic Parenting is a free resource and we solely rely on your donations. Suggested amounts are $5, $10, and more. Go to authenticparenting.com/support and make a donation today. And as always, connect to the present moment, to yourself and your children. Until next week, I am Anna Seewald. Thank you so much for listening.